Hey, so today we are going to go back and revisit the topic of Big Tim Sullivan. I mentioned him in my last little talk on guns and such. So, Big Tim Sullivan was the author of the Sullivan Act. He's the leader of the group known as the Tammany Hall, also been called the Tammany Hall Gang, I've heard it said. So, basically, like most gun control attempts, this has its roots in racism and, bigotry. Also, in this case, as a note of self-defense as well, because these guys, they were kind of worried about how ordinary citizens might, shoot back at them. Because, of course, that's the greatest danger if you're a criminal. So, I guess we could say that Tim Sullivan was really kind of a job maker, He really helped out, people like the mob and, stick-up artists, that kind of thing. But, yeah, so Big Tim Sullivan here, he already knew what the deal was. And there you have it, And so did the gangsters. They already knew what's up. They said their pockets shut. They set themselves up so the cops couldn't set them up and screw them over. Ordinary people, of course, they didn't know about all this. As it all says here, and as you'll see as you read over it, I'll have links to this in the description. As it says here, basically, what people are going to do, they've been taught by the, how should I say, the political infrastructure, like the immigrants at this time. This is in the 20s, 30s, teens, this era. So, this is going to be back when New York is a huge, what's the word? Hub for immigration. This is back in 5 old days. Ha ha! I'll chase that little mouse. Anyway. But back to the point. Anyway, this would have been back in the early days of New York's, heyday as an immigration hub. So, this is going to be back during Depression era, and at the time of, what's that thing called? The, Prohibition era. Yeah. Okay. So, as we were saying here, old Tim Sullivan, this guy right here, he basically empowered the gangs and the people that had the connections that they needed to have to get this stuff through. So, there you have it. And New York has a long tradition of this sort of thing. New York City, at least. And unfortunately, with things like the SAFE Act and various other things that have gone through in the recent years, it's really put the whole of New York State into a nasty spot, if you will. So anyway, I was wanting to touch on that and one other interesting thing as well. Oh, 2 out of the 3 chief engineers of said SAFE Act have been found guilty of corruption, as New York City has a long, storied history of. Alrighty. Now, as I had said before, I was wanting to touch on another issue of washed out rock and rollers. Alright, so, is this the one? Yeah. There we have Mr. Michael Stipe, care of Ammo Land and USA Today. So, Mr. Stipe here, he is, how shall we say, losing his religion. Alright, so, anyway, he's saying that Michael Stipe, please, Governor, veto this bill. Oh, golly gosh, Arinos, I'm so scared of the guns and the people having rights. Oh, no, oh, no. So, he's asking, let's see here. This is actually his whole thing. So, the essence of it is basically he's saying, first bill goes through, he's worried about 78% of Georgians who say they oppose guns on campus, as well as a host of college administrations and prominent student and faculty organizations that have spoken out against the bill. Well, that's really too bad. Would you say the same against the First Amendment, Mr. Stipe? I wonder. The second, sir, protects the first. Anyway, I'll have a link to this as well, but basically, Michael Stipe is just saying that he doesn't really respect people's rights to defend themselves, and much like any Hollywood big wig or talking head, what have you, I'm a talking cat head, so I don't count. Anyway, links will be to this as well in the description below, but he's saying, battle hits close to home. I met my future REM bandmates when we were all students at the University of Georgia in Athens. It was here that we started playing together and performing, and years later, several of us still call Athens home. And I'll bet this guy probably also supports the Religious Freedom Act, which, if a person is to understand it, you know what? We'll go ahead and hit on that one too. I'm going to make this a threefer. Trifecta, as it will. Let's see here. Georgia Freedom of Religion Act. Here we are. Oh, criminy. That, yes. All right. So, here we are. This looks like the most recent information on said thing. I'll have to make sure and have a link for this one for you in the thing below as well. If it'll ever load anyway. Ah. Good enough. I'll just stop loading. Yeah. Alright. So, March 28th, vetoed the controversial bill that sought to protect religious freedom, but was criticized potentially being discriminatory, especially against the LGBT community. The Religious Free Exercise Protection Act, which was passed by state lawmakers on the 16th, set out to protect faith-based organizations. It shows to decline services that they argued violate their beliefs. They say it was anti-gay, anti-LGBT, whatever. But the thing about it is, I mean, this cuts both ways. This would have affected people, how shall we say, regular folk, ordinary folk that aren't religious. Say, for instance, some Catholic comes into an atheist bake shop, and he's like, I want you to do the biggest, bloodiest Jesus on a freaking cross that you can. I want you to make it into a cake, and I want it to shoot blood out of all his, I mean, yeah, the holes in his wrists and, you know, from the crown of thorns. Stigmata! Yeah, have like a whole stigmata effect. But no. See, the thing about this is, these things cut both ways. It would have protected the freedoms of everybody. But we can't have that. No. Well, anyway, I thought I'd share all that with you. I'll go over this thing maybe some other time, but it would have protected the freedom of everybody, so it's really ridiculous to go against it. But, of course, you know, that's what the popular media says, so that's what the popular media gets. Anyway, catch you later. Bye.